The first time a deity actually shows up, it doesn't feel like the book said it would. And that's usually when people panic, or worse, accidentally disrespect something they didn't know they were standing in front of. Because here's what most beginner guides won't tell you: gods aren't sitting around hoping you'll light a candle and say their name. They're not waiting for you. They're not even on your timeline. Most of the popular material makes deity work sound accessible, patient, like the divine is just ready to help if you ask nicely enough. That framing is the first mistake. It sets you up to approach something vast and ancient like it's a spiritual customer service line. Deities exist in their own mythic time, their own logic, their own priorities that have nothing to do with you. When you call on them, you're interrupting something incomprehensibly large. You're stepping into a current that was moving long before you were born and will keep moving long after you're gone. And they don't owe you anything. They don't need you. Some of them, and this is important, genuinely don't like being bothered by mortals who haven't done the work, who don't know the etiquette, who treat them like a cosmic vending machine. The relationship isn't transactional by default. It's not even guaranteed. And if you don't understand that going in, the first real contact you make might be the last one they allow. Here's what nobody tells you: the gods don't actually care about devotion. Not the way you think they do. Devotion without action is just noise. It's like telling someone you love them while never showing up when it matters. The gods aren't listening for how much you praise them. They're watching for what you do with the power they offer. They want transformation, movement, proof that you're serious about the domain they govern. If you work with a war god, they don't want you on your knees every morning telling them how mighty they are. They want you braver. They want to see you face the thing that's been making you small. If you work with a love goddess, she doesn't need another rose on her altar. She needs you to stop settling for people who make you feel like you're too much. The gods want you to become more like what they represent. That's the exchange. That's always been the exchange. And yes, offerings matter, but only when they're connected to real sacrifice. Not the incense you bought on Amazon because it smelled like temple vibes. Real sacrifice means giving up something that costs you. Time you didn't think you had. A comfort you've been clinging to. The version of yourself that's easier to be. When you offer that, when you put skin in the game, that's when they lean in. That's when the channel opens. Because now you're not asking for a favor, you're proving you're ready for the work. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Every deity tests you. Not might, will. Usually right after you commit, right after you make your offering and say the words and feel like you've finally done something real. And here's the thing, it won't feel like a test. It'll feel like your life is falling apart in the exact area they rule. You reach out to a goddess of love, and suddenly every relationship in your life gets messy. Friend drama. Family tension. That one person you thought you were over shows up in your DMs at 2 a.m. You start working with a god of wealth, and your car breaks down, your hours get cut. You're suddenly hemorrhaging money in ways that make no sense. This is where most people quit. They assume they did something wrong, that the deity's angry, that they're cursed now. But that's not what's happening. The deity is checking if you meant what you said. Because working with them isn't about getting what you want handed to you, it's about becoming the kind of person who can hold what you're asking for. If you're working with a love goddess and your relationships are imploding, that's not punishment. That's her showing you every way you've been lying to yourself about connection. Every boundary you don't hold. every pattern you keep repeating. The test isn't whether you can survive the chaos. It's whether you're willing to see what the chaos is showing you. So you want to work with a deity. Here's the thing nobody tells you up front. You don't just show up empty-handed and start making demands. That's not devotion. That's a recipe for getting ignored at best, taught a lesson at worst. First step, and this isn't optional, you research. Deep research. Read their myths until you know what pisses them off, what they value, how they've historically dealt with disrespect. Because gods have patterns. Sometimes a deity just says no. Or worse, they ignore you entirely. Radio silence. And if you're new to this, that feels like failure. Like you did something wrong, like you're not worthy, like you'll never be chosen. But here's what it actually means. You're getting information. Information about timing. About compatibility. About whether this particular deity has any interest in working with you right now, or ever. And that's not rejection in the way we usually think of it. It's clarity. It's the universe saving you from forcing a connection that was never meant to happen. Which is a gift, even if it stings. But there's another kind of wrong, the kind you need to pay attention to immediately. If you feel dread before every ritual, if your life gets consistently worse after you start working with someone, if you're drained, anxious, spiraling, losing sleep, you're either approaching this wrong or you're working with the wrong deity. Sometimes both. And here's the thing nobody tells you. It's okay to stop. You can close the connection. You can step back. You can say thank you for your time, but this isn't working, and try again later. Or try someone else. Or take a year off and do nothing. Forcing a relationship with a deity because you're scared of looking like a quitter. That's how people end up in genuinely bad situations. The gods aren't fragile. They won't punish you for having boundaries. But they will let you walk into disaster if you insist on it. When the relationship clicks, you'll know. It's not subtle. Synchronicities don't just happen, they stack. You see their symbols everywhere. Their myths show up in conversations with strangers. Your life starts moving in the direction of their domain without you forcing it, like you've been picked up by a current you didn't know was there. You feel backed by something larger than you, and that feeling doesn't waver. But here's the part that catches people off guard. You start to embody their qualities without trying. Your personality shifts. Your tolerance for certain things, people, situations, your own excuses, just disappears. You become a channel for what they represent, and it's not always comfortable. If you work with a war deity, you might find yourself unable to stay silent when you used to. If you work with a love goddess, your standards for how you're treated will become non-negotiable. You don't decide this. It happens to you. This isn't empowerment in the self-help sense. It's alignment with a force that's older and stronger than your ego, and it will remake you if you let it. The gods aren't vending machines, and they're not therapists. They're the old forces that shaped the world before we had language for half of what they are, and when you approach them like that, everything changes. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.